together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, Two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them, and a little bit more. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die. What profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of the lentils. And he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. All right, so a lot going on there. Jacob was born in his mother's womb. Him and Esau were already wrestling. Jacob's whole life, he wrestled and fought and struggled and did all kind of stuff like that. And they were totally different. You know, Esau. The first time you read this, if I'm being honest, I'm liking Esau better than I do Jacob. Jacob is, Esau is a man's man. He's a hunter. He's a daddy's boy. His dad loves to eat venison, and Esau goes out and hunts it and brings it in, and man, they're manning it up. Jacob, and the Bible tells us Jacob is smooth skinned, and Esau is real hairy. Jacob smooth, and he hangs with his mother in the tents. He's a mama's boy. That's what we would call it today. And so we kind of start getting the wrong opinion of Jacob and Esau. And then he does this trick here. He gets Esau was the old. That's how the Jews were. It didn't matter if they were twins. Whichever one come out first got everything. The one that come out second got to serve the older. Is what he got. And but Jacob and Esau reversed that. So Esau was technically the one that was supposed to get the birthright and the blessing and everything, and Jacob would just get to serve under Esau if they did everything the way that tradition had it done. And so they go on, and all that takes place at the end of chapter 25. If we go to 27, I won't read the whole thing, but we know, like I said, Jacob and his mother were close, and she overheard Isaac telling Esau that he was getting old, didn't know how much longer he had, and he said, Go get me some of that venison that I love, and I'm going to give you your blessing. And so he did, and Rebekah heard it, and she got Jacob and said, Let's trick him, and I want to get you the blessing. And so they did. They pulled a trick on Isaac since he was old and stole the blessing. And Jacob, his name, let me tell you what his name, originally, his name means to follow or the holder of the heel. Because when they come out, Jacob grabbed hold of Esau's heel on the way out of the womb. And, but in verse 27 and 36 of Genesis, Esau kind of gives him a new name. It starts taking on a different meaning. 27 and 36. Let me go to 35. And he said, this is right after Jacob had stolen his blessing and tricked Isaac. Esau says, and he said, thy brother came, Isaac says this, and he said, thy brother came with subtlety and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, this is Esau, and he said, is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And so we're building up here. Esau has lost his birthright, and he's lost his blessing. And it's not just that. We got to look at the put yourself in their place. The way the world looks at it socially, Esau is really getting shamed publicly. You know, the neighborhood, everybody's talking. You know, oh, Esau is not good. Jacob has done way better than Esau, and Esau is, and so Esau decides. I'll tell you what. Whenever he says, whenever my father is old and he's getting close, I'll wait till he passes away. But soon as he passes away, I'm gonna take Jacob out. I'm gonna kill him. And word got back to Rebecca, and so she's a little trickster herself. She to protect Jacob, she told Isaac, said, you know, there's all these Canaanite women around here, and I don't want Jacob to marry one of these Canaanite women. Let's send him off to some of our people, her brother, Laban, and let's let him find a wife over there. And so he said, okay, we'll do that. And Esau, when Esau heard about it, when he heard what was going on, he said, oh, y'all don't want us marrying the Canaanite women? Okay, I'll just go marry 2. How about that? So he went and married 2 Canaanite women. and so Jacob went to be with Laban. I got to tell you, so we built that up a little bit with Esau. Esau has a grudge against him, ready to kill him. His brother, ready to kill him. So he's going to live with Laban. All right, things will be better with, that's his mother's brother, right? That's his uncle. And so things will be better with Laban. Well, if Jacob was a sort of a cheated his brother out of those 2 birthright and blessings, Laban was double that. You know, I told you Rebecca had a little bit of that trickster in her. She's the one that gave Jacob the idea to do some of that stuff. And well, her brother Laban, he had a double portion of that. And and Laban, let me tell you what Laban means. This all adds up. Laban means the white one. Like that gives the impression that he's pure or good. So he uses that to play on people, to cheat them and trick them. And so he's even more deceptive. We know he switched. Jacob wanted to marry the younger sister, Rachel, who was prettier, and Laban tricked him, swapped them on the wedding night, gave him the older, homelier looking one, and made him, so instead of, they had a deal worked out where he was gonna work 7 years for this good looking one that he wanted, and he ended up getting that one. He's like, well, what are you doing to me? And so he said, well, I tell you what, I'll give you the other one too, but you gotta work 7 more years. And so he did. So that's 14 years he worked for Laban. And Laban, the Bible tells us, Laban was kind of small time when Jacob got there. Yeah. He wasn't rich or had a huge flocks and big farm and all that. He was kind of on the smaller end. And so Jacob goes to work for him for 14 years, but God is with Jacob. Yes, amen. Jacob starts taking care of the animals, and they start producing, and Laban's flocks and herds and all start getting bigger and more, and everything's good, and they're big and healthy, and everything's good. So he did that for 14 years. And 14 years was up. Jacob went to Laban, and he said, all right, he said, I've worked for you 14 years. I've increased everything you got. I hadn't done no wrong to you. I've treated you fair every which way we've went. He said, now this is before, this is the old Jacob. He's thinking like a man, which I get it. He's thinking like a man. God didn't tell him to move on at this time. Jacob took it upon himself. He went to Laban and he said, I'm ready to go. And Laban don't want him to go. That's his golden goose. The Bible tells us Laban saw that God was with Jacob, and what Jacob was doing was producing. And Laban didn't want him to go, so he's like, oh, hey, what's the hurry? Let's stay a little bit longer. What can we do? To make you want to stay a little bit longer. And so Jacob eventually told him, he said, well, so I'll tell you what, y'all all know the story about the ringed and the striped goats and sheep and the brown ones. Jacob said, that's the ones nobody usually wanted. Jacob said, I'll take all them, and whenever those are born, they'll become mine, and the nice, pretty white, fluffy ones that everybody wants, those can be yours. And he's like, yeah, sounds good. We'll do it. And so Jacob, he didn't do it, but God did it. Jacob took a real dark log and cut some stripes on that log, and it had a real dark bark, but it was white on the inside, and made that log kind of striped looking. And he would put that in the animals' water when they got ready to breed. If they were the bigger animals and the stronger animals and the more healthy ones, but if the weaker and the feebler ones come along, he would take it out, and they would have, that's how God was blessing Jacob. So in 6 years' time, Jacob has now, and every time, I forgot this, but this is a big part. Like every time the bigger, healthier, say they were striped, they would start coming out. Laban's flock is getting smaller and smaller, and Jacob's is getting bigger and bigger, and he's excelling. And so Laban would change the rules on him. He would be like, hey, you know what? I think I want those striped ones. You take the ones that are ring shaped, So Jacob would do that, and he would swap it up on him, and then the ones Jacob were getting, they would do the same thing. They would start getting bigger, and all the Labans were getting smaller and weaker. And so one day, Jacob overheard Laban's sons saying, Jacob has stole our father's wealth. And he didn't have no wealth before Jacob come along. But they said, he stole our father's wealth. We might want to. And Jacob noticed Laban's countenance. He called it the countenance, his attitude. He said, he told his wives, he said, your dad's countenance ain't toward me like it used to be. I don't like the way your dad's looking at me. And I sure don't like what your brothers are saying about me. And so he started praying about it. And this time, God tells him. God makes the decision for him and says, gather up all your stuff. I want you to go back. When Jacob was doing it on his own, he made that first decision. He didn't know where he was going to go. He didn't have a plan. He was just going to get out of there. This time, I'm sure Jacob, on his own, didn't plan on going back to Esau.
That's right.
God told him, said, gather all your stuff up, your wives, your children, everything. Go back to Esau. Go back home to Esau. And so he said, okay. And but he wanted to kind of wanted to sneak off. He didn't want to just tell Laban this time. He didn't want to go to him and say, we're leaving. So he didn't want to give him a chance to tell him no. So they snuck off. They got a 3-day head start before Laban even knew they had left. He took out. Bible tells us that in Genesis 30 and 43 that Jacob had increased exceedingly. He had much cattle, maid servants, men servants, camels, asses, everything. He was loaded. By this time Jacob he was set. And so he went and he had a 3-day head start. And it took Laban 7 days to catch up with him. And so Jacob's running from him, and it took Laban 7 days to catch up with him. He caught up with him, and they kind of got into it. They had a little bit of an argument. And Laban like, what are you doing? I can't believe you're taking, he called, my daughters, and he called Jacob's children his children. You're taking my children, my daughters, and all this, and running off. Didn't even let me tell them bye. And Jacob, he's like, well, you've done me wrong so many times. You switched my brides. You kept me working extra time. You did this. Every time the sheep would start doing better, you would change the rules. He said he brought everything up. You did everything. You deceived me on every hand, and I didn't deceive you any. And he said, I just want to go. So they kind of made a covenant there and left. But I don't know, maybe Jacob didn't feel good about it anyway. And so now we're finally getting to the message. And I had to tell you all that so you'll get where I'm going with this. So behind him, he's got Laban and all his family that are not happy with him. In front of him, he's got Esau, and he don't know what that holds. So he's kind of in the middle. Jacob is in the middle right now between these two places. And let's look at verse 32. Chapter 32, verse 1. He says, and Jacob went on his way, and look at this, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, this is God's host. And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Wow. Jacob saw the angels. He saw the host. We just talked in Sunday school a couple of weeks ago about Elisha and his little servant boy And they woke up one morning, looked outside, and the servant boy said, "Whoa, we're surrounded by the enemy." And Elisha's calm, easy. He looks out there. He tells the servant boy, "There's more with us than is with them." And then he prayed and opened that servant boy's eyes, and the servant boy saw all the host of heaven, all the angels in the mountains. Yeah. And that's kind of the way Jacob was. He looked out here and he saw all these angels. And remember, back in chapter 28, Jacob had that dream where he saw the ladder of angels coming and going and descending in and out of heaven. And he's promised protection. And remember, God told him to go. Don't forget that. That's an important part. God told him to go. And he was doing what God told him to do. And so him seeing an angel is really not that out of the ordinary. And let's see. So he sends messengers. So verse 3 says, Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother, and unto the land Seir, the country of Edom. And he told him, I won't read it all. He told him, he put a bunch of animals together, said, send a peace offering, to Esau. And one of the messengers come back and said, he's already headed this way. He's got 400 men with him. Oh, Jacob said, got Laban back there. I got Esau coming at me with 400 men. That don't sound good. So he said, this is what he was thinking, just telling you, put yourself in his shoes. He was scared. He said, I'm going to divide the company. He said, I'm going to split everybody up. That way if Esau attacks us, he'll only kill half of us. Guess which half he put in the front? The poor old homely wife and all her. he kept the pretty one with him. If we lose one. Just telling you, it's the way it is. And so he split them up, and he told us, he had some servants. He said, you take this first half of all I own, and you go up that way. And he told the other servants, he said, you take this other half, a good half, and you go back here. And let me read right here. This is my whole message. Verse 24, 32 and 24. It says, and Jacob was left alone. He was by himself. He had that whole family. I think I got it wrote down somewhere. He had like 2 wives, and you might as well call them 2 more wives, because he had a bunch of kids with his handmaids. He had 4 women, and a whole bunch of manservants, a whole bunch of women servants, a whole bunch of animals. I told you, he had all this, but he was left alone. Wow. Sometimes it's up to us, right? Come on. We have to make decisions. We have to do things. Sometimes our mama can't do it for us. Our daddy can't do it for us. Our wives can't do it for us. Our husbands can't do it for us. There comes a point where it's just us. We have to make that decision if we're going to follow God, right? Yeah. We do. Yeah. And we have to be alone sometimes. Why do we have to be alone? Because if we're not alone, we can get too busy. We can say, oh, well, I gotta do this. Oh, well, I've got this going on. I would go tonight, but I gotta do this. I got this going on, I got that going on. I can't go here, I can't go there, I can't do that. We just have to get to that point where nothing else matters. Nothing matters but making things right with God.
Right.
And that's where Jacob was. Jacob was sitting there and he said, y'all have heard me say it before, he was to that point where he only had a plan A. Plan A was trusting God. He didn't have a plan B. He didn't have a plan C. He didn't have a plan D. All he had was either God's going to get me out of this or I'm not getting out of this. That's where he was at. And so then we know, I only read half of that. It said Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. Let me just go ahead and read this a little bit, and I'll talk about it. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. Let me stop right there. All right. So, Jacob had already seen all these angels. He just had seen them all out in front of him. Now, he didn't know, I'll admit, when he's sitting there in the dark, alone, by himself, he could have thought maybe one of Esau's men have done snuck down here. Maybe he's got a Navy SEAL type guy that's sneaking in on me to take me out. Maybe Laban had one sneak back to get me. So he don't know what's going on to start with. But physically, realistically, he couldn't have wrestled with an angel. He could have clung to the angel. Let me give you my example. Where I'm going with this. Y'all know I got the 2 grandkids there. And well, I got 3, but the 2 little ones. And their favorite thing, and mine, is they greet me every time they see me with a karate kick. or a punch in the gut. And I wouldn't have it any other way. But and we wrestle. Me and them kids wrestle all the time. And they cling to me and hold me. I just can't get them off, you know. They're just swarming me. And yeah, if I wanted to hurt them, of course I could get them off. But this angel was being gentle with Jacob. And I think Jacob figured out it was an angel. And I'll get to that in just a second. And he was being easy with him. And you know, he held on all night. One time when I worked at that other place, things they spent a night with us every Friday night. Well, I used to have to work every Saturday, and I would always sneak out before they got up, because if they were up, impossible. Well, they caught me one time. I wasn't able to leave before they got up for some reason, and they were both up. And man, I had one on this leg and one on this leg, and they were not giving up. They were not letting go. I mean, they were latched on, and I had to leave. You know, and I sounded like that. That's what that angel said. That angel was like, "Let me go. It's breaking day. I have got to go." And that's what I was saying. I was like, "I have got to go. I am late for work. Y'all are making me late for work. And I can't pry them off. Now, I mean, I could have, you know, if I wanted to hurt them, and I'm sure this angel could have done Jacob like that. As a matter of fact, you know, and sometimes when I'm wrestling with them kids, they'll keep on, and sometimes I'll just, you know, show them something, and, you know, maybe I grab their arm and oh, you know, they realize, you know, that, you know, Pawpaw can do something. And that's what that angel did. That angel reached down there, touched Jacob's hip, put it out of joint. Said, look, man, let me go. You don't realize how bad I could hurt you if I wanted to. But he didn't, you know, and Jacob didn't care. He didn't care. He held on. And why was he holding on like that? Because he told him, Jacob, I think that's what I say, Jacob realized this was the angel. He said, I won't let go except thou bless me. And so, and it's right here's the other part of my message. And the angel said, the Bible says, and he said unto him, talking about the angel, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. You think that angel didn't know Jacob's name? That angel knew exactly who Jacob was. That angel was probably sent there. And he knew exactly who Jacob was. But he still said, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, and that's what he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. All right. Jacob, he got to that point. He finally, out of everything Jacob had done, he got to that point. He went down. Sometimes that point right there might be that altar for us. Or wherever. He got down and he said, I'm not getting up until I make things right with God. Until I know things are right. And that's what Jacob did. And when he stood up, two things. He was a changed man. That's what Paul says. You got to take off the old man and put on the new. That's exactly what Jacob did. Jacob was no more Jacob. He was Israel. That angel, that's why that angel asked him his name. That's why that angel said, what's your name? And he said, Jacob. And that angel said, nope, no more. You ain't Jacob no more. You're Israel now. And the other thing, that he had a physical change. Jacob limped the rest of his life. I hate to use Paul again, but Paul said he had a thorn that God never removed in his life. Had a thorn in the flesh that God never removed. Jacob walked with a limp the rest of his life. And still to this day, just a little, I got to give you one or two little crazy facts. To this day, y'all hear the stuff about something being kosher. The Jews won't eat anything that's not kosher. Well, that's removing that sciatic nerve. That's what they remove, and because of Jacob, if something they kill has that sciatic nerve in it, they won't eat it because it ain't kosher. It's got to have that nerve removed because of Jacob. They do that for him still to this day. So Jacob, of course, Jacob turns it around on him. On verse 29, Jacob says, asked him, said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou ask after my name. And he blessed him there. The angel said, don't worry about my name. You know, in the Bible, Manoah, Samson's father, he asked the angel's name. When the angel come to tell him his wife was going to have a baby, he asked, and the angel told him the same thing. He was like, why are you asking my name? Don't you know that's secret? And so this angel told Jacob the same thing. He said, you can't ask my name. Don't worry about it. And here's the other thing. It says, and he blessed him there. But you know, we don't know what that blessing was. That's all it tells us. It don't say what the blessing was. It just says he blessed him. And so the let's see, I'm wrapping this thing up. So that's it. The main point I wanted you to get is we all have to be like Jacob in that we have to get to that point where we're alone. Nobody can do it for us. We got to do it for ourselves. And we got to get to that point where, you know, it's heaven or hell. There ain't no other option. We got to decide if it's going to be heaven or if it's going to be hell. Not deciding is picking hell, right? And that's what the devil does. Like I said earlier, keeping us busy, keeping us away, doing other things, doing whatever we can, not to do what we know we're supposed to be doing. And we have to change. We have to change. We get up. When we get up from that, we're changed. We're different. We're a different man or woman. And we have to do things different, and that's how we get to that point. Nobody gets to that point when they're up on top of the world. You got to be alone in the dark, not knowing which way to go, not knowing. Oh, and I almost forgot. And let me give you the happy ending. Jacob ended up meeting up with Esau, and when they seen each other, Esau ran up, hugged him, and kissed him. Yeah. And they were good. Everything was good. So, because he did what God told him to do. Yes. Right? He trusted God. He did what God said, and God took care of him. And that's just the way we have to be. That's an example for us.